More US states and companies are voting on Bitcoin treasuries, and we had an exciting week with the miners. We're going to go over those two pieces of news regarding the BTC treasuries as well as the weekly closes on our favorite Bitcoin miners today. So quickly, just New Hampshire and North Dakota, they have both introduced bills for a strategic Bitcoin reserve. This is game theory playing out in real time for us here as pension funds scramble to get this thing, states scramble to get this thing, federal governments will soon begin scrambling to get this thing. We've also got Meta. Meta has proposed a vote to do a Bitcoin treasury as well. I expect this may go similarly to the Microsoft vote, but just the fact that Mag 7 stocks are putting forward the vote to consider putting Bitcoin as a treasury asset is a huge deal for Bitcoin overall, and is getting that buzz around and causing potentially more and more inflows into this space. So just the fact that they're just talking about it is positive. All right, let's get to the weekly closes. So they were terrible. Honestly, they were terrible. It was a terrible week. CleanSpark closed down 6% today. We are just riding the 200-week moving average, which is pretty bad. Now, the only thing good about that is that we know that support is basically here, and the lowest level of support is about $8. So we really only have about $2 to fall. If we go any further than that, this thing, the bottom is going to fall out. If we go any lower than $8, we're going to come all the way down to like 6, 5, maybe even 4. Like if we lose $8, this is going to be bad. Okay. And we are going to struggle. And I'm going to tell you right now, we are going to struggle to get back over $16. Unless Bitcoin does something extraordinary, unless, and honestly, the 10-year treasury rate, unless that thing craters, we are going to have a bad time. That is really what's holding back almost all equities right now, is that 10-year treasury yield continuing to drive higher, and it's getting closer and closer to 5%. A lot of the experts are saying that somewhere around 5% or a little bit above 5%, the thing will lose steam and start to come back down a bit on that 10-year treasury, which would cause equities to go higher again. But for the time being, that 10-year note is too expensive and the price is going up higher, which is causing equities to sell off, because if you can get a guaranteed 5%, why risk your money? That's basically what's going on. All right, so anyways, we're riding this 200 here, and that is, we're in a bad spot. We're in a spot where we're either at support, and if this proves to not be support and we don't just base in this area right here where we are now between here and $8, if we don't simply just base there for a while until Bitcoin takes off and then we take off with it, if it goes any lower than that $8 level, CleanSpark is going to absolutely have the bottom drop out from beneath it, and that is going to suck real bad if that happens. Okay, so keep that in mind. $8 is the line in the sand. Any lower than $8 and we are going to see some pretty significant sell-offs, and we will also see this head and shoulders come into play. This right here, right there, that head and shoulders, the neckline right there, we'll see that come into play, and the bottom of that head and shoulders is all the way down here around $4. So that would really suck if that was something that is to happen on CleanSpark. The Giga cup and handle, that's done. That's not happening anymore. That is done. Now we need to see that thing I've been talking about for a long time, the Giga cup on CleanSpark. That was basically, let me turn that off. There we go. That was basically right in this whole area here, starting in November 2021, going all the way to March 2024. That whole like Giga cup scenario, that's done now. That's not coming back. So that's nullified, and now we could get a double bottom where we currently are right here, and the top of that double bottom would be about $25-$26. But my outlook on CleanSpark is not as high as it once was, basically because it's just been performing like hot garbage, and that means that the warrants will probably top out somewhere in the $3 to $5 range too. I was hoping for like 7, 8, maybe even 9, but it might end up being like 3 to 5 might be the peak for the warrants here. It went as high as 160. It might double from there at some point, but I don't see it really taking off unless somehow miraculously CleanSpark shakes off all this nonsense and just flies into the 30s and 40s from here. But I don't necessarily see anything that's going to cause that, because no matter how much good news comes in for CleanSpark, it just cannot get above and hold above $15 lately. It just hasn't been able to do it. Honestly, I don't think it's held above $18 for more than a couple of days, and all in this entire cycle, and it's getting to the point where it's kind of just annoying to look at. Even when there's good news coming through, nothing seems to move this stock. It's going to move at some point. It will. But it's going to be after most people gave up, unfortunately. Let's see if we are among those or not. We'll see. So that's that. Let's see what CleanSpark warrants are looking like. They're looking fine. I don't have really anything to say about this. I do like this formation here, how it came down and it's basing and starting to curl back up. That's giving me hints that it might want to go higher. We could see this thing trading around $1 to $1.15 in recent days. We might be able to see that soon, assuming Bitcoin doesn't have a complete fall off moment. Again, like I said before, I am looking at something like maybe $3 to $4 on this thing. If we go here, we have the pole right there. And it goes to about right there. Yeah, it'd be about 262 off of this flag would be a high that we could potentially see on that. That'd be pretty exciting if that were to happen on CleanSpark warrants. But again, I'm not going to hold my breath. I'm going to continue to sit and wait and scrutinize it and wait for the inflows to come in. Btdigital is not having a good time. It just dumped right off that 200-week moving average. Now we have to cross above the 200-week moving average just to get back to the previous high. Now we did make, so here's a good thing, right? On this high here that we made in November, it was higher than the previous high, which was back here in December 2023. So we did make a new higher high there. So we are making higher high, higher low sort of pattern going on right now. That's going to be really exciting. If this was the low here at 290 last week, or the week before, excuse me, that would actually be really good for this. The 50 week is holding us up, and that's good. We hit it and we ricocheted off of it. Hopefully we can get up and above the 200 week moving average. If we can get up and above the 200 week moving average, that might be the first time. Yeah, that'll be the first time that we're actually getting above it, because we would have been above it behind back here in 2022, but it didn't exist yet because Btdigital hasn't been around long enough to have it back there. So this will be the first time it actually gets above the 200-week moving average in its history, if we can do it, which is at 417. And I am expecting a higher high than $5 here. I'm expecting a higher high than $6. We are seeing an HPC business with customers, with paying customers, with revenue inflowing from that business. They're also staking ETH. They have well over 20,000 ETH. I think it's almost 30,000 ETH, like 27,000 something ETH right now that they're holding. They also have nearly 1,000 Bitcoin on their balance sheet. They're well capitalized in that respect, and they have a great reoccurring customers for their HPC business. I do see Btdigital not necessarily being like some mega corporation or something in the future, but I could see it being $1 billion venture at some point, which would take this price much higher than it currently is right now. Okay, so that's Btdigital. We are hitting the 50. We bounce. We are above the 21. No, we went above the 21, rejected off of it, hit the 50 again. So we might base here for a little while and then crawl up again. We need to see Ethereum go up. You can see here that we crossed down on the MACD a couple weeks ago. We did that on CleanSpark as well. This is a MACD. We did a cross down on the weekly time frame. That's bad news. That's bad news unless we can turn around and curl up. The last time we got beneath the we crossed down on the MACD and started to separate from it was back here. When we came off of that, and it dumped really badly. So we might see something similar to like this, where we came down, bounced up a little bit, and then came all the way down again, all the way to the base, which in this case, that base would be somewhere about 250 if that were to happen on Btdigital. Bitfarms, on the other hand, is doing really badly. You can see the moving averages are all fanned out. We got the 200, the 50, the 21, and the 5. We're beneath every single one of them. You can see here it also crossed down on the weekly. It crossed down on the weekly back here, and cross down again after a week cross up on the weekly, and it's looking quite terrible actually right now. Bitfarms isn't really showing any signs of life at all. They haven't shown any signs of life honestly since back here in February. February was the last time we got signs of life on Bitfarms, and it's just making lower lows and lower highs now. And that is just not a good sign. And honestly, I would not be surprised to see Bitfarms flash down into the very low $1 range, maybe even touching $1 here in the near future. I wouldn't be surprised by that. Now, I'm not saying it deserves to be there or anything, so don't get upset at me about that. I'm just saying based on this price action, I would not be surprised to see it reach there, if only for a short period of time. Now, we could come up, but honestly, at this point, the highest we could come up would be like $2.50, and then we'd likely sell right back off again and come all the way back down to this base around 155, 160. and then maybe if we see any further weakness in Bitcoin, we see it come even further down. So that's unfortunate, but that is kind of what's going on with Bitfarms there. Let's take a look at Mara. It's weekly close, so it also got a cross down. Every single one of these basically is crossing down on the MACD. We got it last week, the cross down. It is flattening out beneath the 200, the 50, the 21. They all converged onto a single point here. That is very interesting to see all of those SMAs and EMAs all converging basically on the same price right here. Basically, the moment Mara gets back up above $20, this thing is going to fly, okay? I don't know when that's going to happen. Couldn't tell you at all when that's going to happen, but I can tell you that when it does happen, this thing is going to take off. There's a lot of pressure at that $20 level. Once it crosses back above that $20 level, it's basically going to be free of all of its chains and just going to fly up, kind of similar to like what we saw back here. I know they weren't all converging back here, but you can see we had like that cross down. It was pretty aggressive, and then it had a very aggressive cross up and just went launching all the way from like $7 up to $32 in a matter of months, in like 2 months. So that's pretty exciting. Have we seen this with the MAs, with the moving averages before, where they all just kind of converged? Kind of right here a little bit, but not really. A little bit right there with the 50 and the 20 where they converged, and we popped off of that pretty good when we went above it. So Mara, I think I would be looking at this dip as a potential buying opportunity if Bitcoin turns around. If Bitcoin doesn't turn around, then it's going to have a real rough time. Riot is one of the few where the MACD on the weekly has not crossed down. Okay, Riot had its pullback here, and it looks like it wants to flounder around here between the 50 and the 200 for a little bit, and once it crosses that 200, it's probably going to run for that high again around the $20 range. This chart it's not looking great, but it's looking better than its peers, right? It ran up, it came down a bit, the 50 held up, and that's really good for Riot. Riot has a low range right now of about 1050 and a high range up to $20. So like we could see a doubling or potentially a move down of about $1.50. So like the risk to reward is actually favorable on Riot right now based on this chart. And of course, nothing I say is financial advice or a suggestion to buy, sell, or hold any asset whatsoever. Let's go look at Iren. Iren is pissing me off. All right, Iren, you were the chosen one. No. Iren came up. It's did this really nice cup and handle. I really want to see Iren move up. If Iren can't move up, we're gonna have a bad time. Okay, so we saw the MACD did cross down on, or they're converging right now. The signal and the MACD are converging right now. It looks like the MACD line is just ever so slightly beneath the signal line. That is bad. We need to see Iren turn around. If Iren does not turn around, it's going to come down and hit the 50. The 50 is at 863 now. It's not as low as we were before. Like, notice what happened last time. Notice how ever since 2023, November 2023, so for the last year, we've been using the 50 as support. We hit it once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, almost 6 times. So almost 6 times we've interacted with the 50 EMA here, or SMA, sorry, the 50 SMA on Iren. We might do it one more time. We might come down, tap it around like $8, maybe even $9, might be around $9. And then if it does not bounce off that 50, if it doesn't bounce off that 50, and I mean right away, then I'm absolutely going to be looking to exit Iren with a small gain versus a large gain. I had a large gain, and it's giving it all back because my average is about $7, maybe a little bit less than $7. And it went all the way up to $15.95, just barely made a higher high. And then completely just dumped off over just 3 weeks in a row. And we got one tiny little week, green week, and then again we just gave almost all of that back right away. So Iren, we're looking for the 21 to hold. If the 21 doesn't hold, I need $9 to hold. If $9 cannot hold, then I'll be letting go of my Iren and looking for it to base and then potentially buy it back again as Bitcoin starts to run. So take a look at Corz. Corz hit the 21 week and bounced, and that's actually a good sign. That's actually a really good sign. This could be good. If it can get back up and above this red candle here, if we can get an engulfing green candle and get back above 1558, we're going to run for the highs. If we lose the 21, we're going to come down to the base, which is this stuff here to the left, that base there, and that's going to be about $11. So we're looking at potentially moving down about $3 or potentially moving up about $450-ish here right now. So risk to reward actually is in favor of Corz, but it is almost closer to a 1-to-1 versus Riot, where it was much better than a 1-to-1 right now. So it's not the best looking chart, but it's not bad. It's only come down basically 2 times in its run since it's been relisted, and the 21 was where it bounced before, and very likely could be where it's going to bounce again right now. So Corz is actually looking pretty strong with a limited downside in my mind, and I mean possibly limited upside as well since it's already gone up so much. But the risk to reward's not too bad. Let's take a look at Wulf. How's Wulf doing? Beneath the 200, beneath the 21. This is not what I want to see. This is not what I want to see. The MACD cross down for the weekly. That's rough. All these things are point. This is red on the extender. We've got a red dot, and we've got pink on purple on stochastics. This thing's going to come down and likely hit the 50 at $4.20. That's what I'm looking at. I'm looking at 4.20 cents on Wulf right now with a potential trend line up here holding us back. Let me see, like this one. Something like that, holding us back. If we come up, I think the 200 week at 693 will hold us and keep us beneath that for a while. And if I come to Hut, let's see what Hut's doing. Hut is actually not too bad. It came down, hit the 21, and it bounced. I don't like that wick on top, so we might come back and touch the 21 one more time. But I actually don't dislike this chart. This is, again, one of the stronger charts that we've got here up there with Riot and Corz. It's one of the charts that actually is showing some level of strength as long as it holds that 21 EMA at $20.17. As long as it doesn't go beneath that, Hut is still in business and could go back up to the high here in the 30s. So yeah, that's not so bad. Not too bad. I'd be watching this one to, let's see, go about right here. I'd be watching this trend line here. Yeah, at the 200, it could hit that and then bounce off again. And that's one of the stronger charts I'm looking at right now. Let's take a look at Cifr. Cifr is not terrible, but not great. We lost the 21, but we've got the 200 and the 50 right here to hold it up. I'm looking at maybe 436 as a low end move. If it can get back above 532, then I'd be looking at it to come back up to $7, maybe even $8 back up to the top of the range here. You notice, so on this one, let me zoom out a little bit, or zoom over a little bit, I guess. We got the ascending channel right here. We went to the top of that ascending channel. We got rejected off the top of that ascending channel. We came all the way back to the bottom, and now we are just hanging out at the bottom of that ascending channel. And it looks like we may want to return back to the top of that ascending channel on Cifr, which will be out of that 721 range. Let's take a look at HIVE. Is HIVE doing anything of interest? It is not. It's still not doing anything of interest. I really don't care to talk about HIVE. HIVE right now is basing, right? HIVE is at the base. HIVE is at its base. This is an area where accumulation of HIVE is probably warranted. Right here, there's been accumulation here several periods, once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times. This is now the 7th time that we've been able to accumulate here just since June 2022, since the market bottomed out in June 2022. This is the 7th opportunity to get HIVE down at these valuations, and it will likely run up to the top of the ATR band here around $5.20-ish, $5.20, sorry, and then likely I would look at it to sell off from there. So it'd be like a $2.24-ish potential move there, and then it would probably come right back down to this level again in the $3 range. So HIVE, if you're looking for that type of swing, great, that could be a play for you. But if it's if you're hoping to get more than like a $2 move, then HIVE, I don't know. HIVE hasn't proven that it can do that at this time. Let's take a look at Soluna. Soluna sucks. Soluna's been all the way down at the bottom of support, the absolute bottom of support. Remember, I was always saying that this one was a lotto play. This one was a zero or hero play, and it looks like this one is going for zero. We can see that we had a MACD cross down way back here before I even started accumulating. Way back here in August, and it's just kind of like it has done nothing of any value here. But of course, this one could turn around really quick because it has such a small market cap. One finance bro at a hedge fund says, hey, I want to play with this one today, and this thing will fly up several dollars within a matter of days. So this one is still potentially a 0-2 hero move, could still be the hero, but right now it is very much acting like a zero. And that is why I kept my position size on this one very, very, very small, just so I could limit the exposure to it and the potential downside that I might experience from it. And that I've experienced a lot of downside from it, and it has been very small, like maybe $100. So I'm not too concerned about it. I'll let it go to zero. I really don't care. It was a lotto play, so this one was a lotto ticket. And hopefully everyone else treated it that way as well, because I've said it from the very beginning, zero or hero. This is not something that is going to likely run on its own merits, likely going to be a plaything for a hedge fund for a few days and then bleed right off again. Let's take a look at Can. How's Can doing? We came down. This one's actually pretty strong too. This one's up there with Hut. Yeah, up there with HUT and Riot and Corz right now. We went up with this huge blast off, and we came back down to the 21, and we bounced off the 21-week moving average. That's not too bad. We lost that angle, but that's not too bad. Basically, we just need to get back up above the 5-week moving average, and we could run for this high here at 326 again, which from this area here, if we get, was it 219? 219 right there, and we ran up to that high again, that would be a a 48% run, which isn't great, but in a 48% in a couple of weeks is not bad still. So Ken, I actually don't dislike it. I'd like to see it start turning around. I see it start turning around. I would say Ken is looking bullish at that position at that point in time. Btdr suffered a little bit here. Now, this is kind of a normal pullback. I mean, it's 30%, so it lost 30% last week, and the MACD has not crossed beneath the signal yet. It is still very, very much away from it. It is starting to pull back now. You can see it did a sharp move down here just 2 weeks ago. Into this week, and we got a red signal on the extender. Yeah, I would wait for this one to come down. I wouldn't be surprised to see it come down, hit the 21-week moving average at 1450, and once it got there, I'd be looking at Btdr for a long move back up to maybe even 30, maybe a double up from there, from $15 all the way back up to 27, maybe even as high as $30 from there. So Btdr 1450. I think yes, I would say I'd be ready to go long there at that point in time on that one. Let's cover MicroStrategy as well since we're here. So MicroStrategy, what is going on with MicroStrategy? This thing is burning me so good. My MSTX is down like $6,500. Now, I got my payout from the 100 shares. That was a little over $1,400. I also started selling covered calls on my MicroStrategy at my break-even price, which is now $70 per share. Yes, $70 per share on a stock that's currently trading at $43. So that'll tell you how far down I am on my MSTX shares. But I'm starting to do a covered call strategy to recover the majority of what I put into it, and hopefully I'll be able to recover that before too long, and then it doesn't matter if that position runs to zero or not. I don't care. So I've collected about $3,000 in that payout that you got for holding MSTX last month, and then I've got another $1,200 coming in from covered calls so far. I'm looking to expand that again here next week and get a little more off of the covered calls for that, and potentially slowly get back the 10,000 I invested in MSTX, and then it's all the house's money at that point. But right now this is not good. It's not good. It's not good at all. Not good at all. So I'm looking at MicroStrategy coming back down to the 21-week moving average at 284 right now. I'm looking at doing that. If we lose 284, this thing can come all the way back down to $200, maybe even 188 at the 50-week moving average, which would coincide with the fractal I've got going here, and then you'll be holding to the very end of the year. You'll be holding to the very end of the year on MicroStrategy just to see it come back up to 392, maybe 440. And unless Bitcoin, I said this and I'll say it again, unless Bitcoin gets well over $200,000, do not expect MicroStrategy to revisit $500. Okay, get that in your mind right now. If Bitcoin does not get over, and I mean well over $200,000, and hold it for at least a couple of days, do not expect MicroStrategy to return to $500 and more. Okay, keep your expectations measured. Maybe 440. I'd mark that as a high. I'd mark 440 as a high, but a more realistic expectation of about $386 to $400 going forward as a high point for MicroStrategy, assuming Bitcoin does $170,000 to maybe $180,000 and doesn't quite crest over $200,000. If it can do over $200,000, I can see people getting very, very excited about MicroStrategy again. But if it can't, I just don't necessarily see that happening. Anyways, that's all I've got for you today. Please like, comment, subscribe, share this video. Check out the Trade Cave store, link in the description as well as the channel bio, and have a profitable day.